Okay, we're here with Skipper's 1965 Alcourt Sunfish named Wave. We're working on the bow handle today. We're going to replace it with this original equipment, new old stock sailboat parts made by AMF Alcourt. Bow handles, one of the big companies that made the bow handles was Perco. So if you see a Perco handle out there that looks about the same, that's probably good to go. So we'll get that installed in there. There's been questions on some of the forums about removing deck hardware. Well, one of the things is you don't want to take all of the screws out at once. So if you got 4 screws, you only take out 3. If you got 2 screws, you only take out 1, like the halyard cleat or the halyard block, because underneath the deck is a wooden block that's held in with putty and also with the little fiberglass strap. So what happens over the period of 55 years, that block can rot, or else that fiberglass strap can fail and the putty can fail. If you take out all 4 screws at once, you hear that block go down in the bottom of the hole and you get the dreaded thunk when it hits, and then you're stuck having to open the boat up to get in there to put a new backer plate in. So what we do is we loosen up all but one of the screws, take them out, then we'll loosen the one more screw, and then we swivel the part, and then we'll start the new part in. And on something like a bow handle, I like to get 1 screw in the back, because this may be holding on the bow part, and when it comes loose, you want that block to stay tied up against the bottom of the hull. Now you may notice this boat, what's up with this stainless steel plate. Well, this was a plate that Captain Jack had made at the plant where he worked. His buddies on the night shift, I don't think they actually did any work. I think they just made boat parts all night long. So the bow handle had ripped out on this boat. Captain Jack didn't want to, split the seam and open up the bow, so he cut a small slot right underneath here, and he had another metal backer plate made. He put on some really good chemical plant epoxy, stuck it inside, pulled it back up underneath, and then he had this other plate cut for the top and put that on there. We joked about this plate for many years that you could probably pick up an aircraft carrier with it, but it's going to stay on there. And that's the commemorative Captain Jack's commemorative plate. So get the new handle on. They're not always an exact match, but you do your best you can. If not really worried about that unless we were to go to a boat show, and then we probably wouldn't be worried about it then either. So we'll get that on and tightened up, and now we can use this to tow one of those aircraft carriers around. I think that can go another 1/4 turn. And what we like to do just shows a little nautical flair. As we get the screws in, we like to get the screws with the slots aligned 90 degrees or fore and aft. If it's on the side of a boat, you can put the slot of a screw vertical, so if water gets in, it'll run down. So it just looks nicer when you look at it, and people that have worked a lot on boats will notice little things like that. So that's the new bow handle for Wave. We'll keep this one in the spare parts bin. It's still structurally good. It's got a little bit of corrosion starting here. You could send it off, get it replated, or you could buy another one for $25, $30, I think it is. Oops. Forgot to put the bow line back on. Captain Jack's the one that taught me how to tie a bowline. So every time I tie one, I think back to the days when he was teaching me how to tie it, and had a lot of fun tying them on a lot of boats since he first taught us. So that's what we're doing with the Wave today, and we'll also add in a little bonus feature here, kind of a behind the scenes making of these phenomenal small boat restoration videos. I'll show you the expensive camera equipment we have to hold this camera steady while we're shooting the video. It's a little can of Total Fare from Total Boat, so I don't know if they knew when they sent it to us that's what we'd be using it on. Now we've used it on other things. Come on, just a couple of tape measures and a little towel to keep things from moving around. So that's try to just get the information out there. It doesn't have to be all fancy. You don't have to spend 100 hours editing it, but that's how we like to do it. That's our folksy way of handling things. We'll spin you back here. We worked on the so what else happened today? We resealed this resealed this inspection port. We're getting ready to vacuum up all the little bits left over from putting the foam in. We've had a lot of fun with that little shop vac. It's come in a lot more handy than we may have even thought it was when we first got it. Go back to the stern here. Put the gudgeon back on. Since I have you held hostage with this video, underneath this plate there's a little cutout. There's a little notch in the transom. That's where this boat had the old style rudder, and there was a carriage bolt that went down, and that little notch was there. You could put a little plastic tube on it to keep the assembly from moving around. Well, when they switched in 1972 or so to this new style with the pop-up rudder, the one with the springs, the transom went flat. But they didn't change the mold right away because they were still making boats for places like Sears and Montgomery Ward's, am flights and wind flights, and they may have also still wanted to have some holes available for a factory swap out. So that, even though the new system, the transom was flat, that notch stayed in the hull for quite a few years. So if you're converting a boat, and you also see a little cutout right here where that deck plate came over and it was trimmed out so that carriage bolt could go there, and the deck edge trim would stop here. The new boats, the deck edge trim, let's say new, 1972 and newer, comes to the middle, matches there. So if you're going to convert an older boat, I don't know if this is going to show up. Yep, there it is. You need the backer plate that's got the little notch on it also. You see that little hump right in the middle, and that'll fit over the hump that's molded into the hull. I'll try not to get too technical on my terms here. And that's what you do. That's why this inspection port is here. When we converted this boat over, this was before our days of where we were comfortable and had learned about splitting deck edge seams. But what my buddy Howie would have done if he's converting this old style rudder over to new style, he would have come in, split this deck from the hull, taken it back about 3 feet or so, popped up the lid and just worked on it from the inside. And then when he's done, he would sand that seam, put in a little strip of 4-ounce fiberglass cloth about 1 inch wide with the polyester or epoxy resin, clamp it all back up, let it dry, sand it smooth, put the trim back on, and you could never tell he'd been in there, except for, and then he'd probably even might have run the trim out a little bit. He had access to all kinds of outcourt parts since he lived nearby, or he may have just left it stopped there. So this is a Wave. Just people out enjoying their motorcycles on the weekend here, and hope y'all are out and enjoying something too, and maybe enjoying this video later. Y'all take care.